fucking your
Viv,
phone.
how you doing? Can go on in. Yeah, it's all clear. You look great, by the way.
Thanks. Hello, I'm back.
Sorry.
Hello, Vivian. It's nice to see you again. You look great
Nice to
since
see
the
you.
last
Thank
time
you.
we saw you.
Did I look bad the last time you saw me?
Well, I just saw you 30 seconds ago.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So here we have Nino. This is the man. I'm sure that you've talked to him before.
Had a what?
Conversation?
Okay. I thought you said had a rep and then stopped yourself.
No.
Okay.
No. This is Miss Abilene. And this is Miss Eve. I almost called you Eve Winters. Eve Summers. That's funny.
Oh. Yeah,
I can take your last name, Tilly.
That's not right now. Stop. There's an interview here. Stop.
Yeah, I'm familiar with both Eve and Abilene. Yeah.
All right. All right. So I'm gonna be asking you some kind of like straightforward questions.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, Viv. Okay. Your name has come up a lot. For somebody who shows good leadership qualities. In fact, it's come up almost every time. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thanks.
Let me ask you something. Are you interested in the role of chief of police?
Yes.
And that is something you're looking, to possibly do in the future if it's offered to you?
Yeah. I'm interested in working toward that position. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to be asking you a bunch of, because I'm sure you've already had like conversations with Nino, right? And I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions in regards to the chief of police role. Okay.
All right.
Why do you want to be the chief of police?
Why? Okay. So my goal, my aim in that position would be to build a law enforcement department that is incredibly reliable, knowledgeable, trustworthy. People who general people out on the streets, the general population are gonna know the department. They're gonna know people by name, not for bad things, but for the good. To know that they can just walk up to any one of us and have a conversation or ask for help if they're in needs of it. To be able to keep people safe. My goal is to do that whilst also making sure that my officers are cared for and that they're well respected, that they have everything that they need to be able to do their job appropriately, with regards to the knowledge, the training, the support, the empowerment, and then obviously last but not least, equipment. But my focus is very much on the first set of those priorities, purely because I can see that they're lacking at the moment. And we have huge gaps within our department that definitely need to be filled. In order for us to function properly as a law enforcement department that serves, a county that has a very large, metropolitan city.
Okay. And what would you say your positive qualities are in relation to chief of police? What can you bring that are your positive qualities that you feel like would be necessary for the police department?
My positive qualities. I'm pretty organized. I'm good at being able to identify, pinpoint a problem and problem solve, come up with solutions. I'm not somebody who's opposed to ideas. I like to hear everybody out on their ideas. Something that could be seen as mainly seen as a negative, but can also be a positive, is the fact that I do understand and I do acknowledge the fact that I can be a stubborn person. But I look for people who are like-minded for me. So for me, I see it's more of a passion thing. If I've got my mind set on something and I'm passionate about it, I feel like if someone needs to change my mind on that and show me that there's a different way of operating, that they should also have that passion and be able to, push me, argue with me, whatever, debate. I want people to confront me with things, and I think that's a good quality to have because you do need that passion to be in that position, but you also need to be able to concede when you're incorrect and when it's time to change. And I feel like that's something that I do pretty well.
Okay. Okay. And kind of in the same breath of your positive qualities, what are some of your negative attributes that may negatively affect your job or, you know, the role?
Okay.
What are some of your negative
Um,
attributes?
so I named one that I spun it into a positive. That can also obviously be a negative as well. It can be off-putting for some people. Um, with the whole passion behind that, unfortunately, I can also be misconstrued as someone who will, I don't know, either lose my temper or become overly emotional or whatever they want to call it. Um, when in actual fact, sometimes it's just frustration. And I think people having the ability to have humanistic sort of reactions to things shows not only that obviously that they're human, but they're able to feel you know they, people should be able to express those things. It just has to be done in a professional manner. I know what I mean. I don't think I'm putting it into words very well. But
Okay.
I'm also a stern person. Again, as much as I see there's positives out of that, I am aware that there are negatives as well. I like to think of myself as firm but fair. But obviously that can tend to sometimes leading to see things in one way, and I need to have other people there to push me to see it another way. I'm not closed minded, but there are times when maybe my mind isn't as open as it should be.
Okay. All right. All right. I want you to throw me your they call it like a 5-year plan. It won't actually be 5 years. How do you envision what is your vision for the future of the police department? Say in we'll do 3 months from now. We'll do the end of
Mm.
Nino's term, right? How do
Mm.
you see the police department in your own vision?
Okay. 3 months is it's a pretty short time, but it's not impossible to make some change, right? So I think the thing that I need to sort out first and foremost is getting officers onto the same basic standard of practice, because it's become very apparent that some people have, this large amount of knowledge and experience, and some people don't have as much knowledge or experience yet. Somehow they're both on the same level. We've got officers, it's becoming apparent, that are unable to do the most basic of things. Um, so I kind of want to identify what problem areas specifically, whether it's sort of like the more what you call practical side of things, or whether it's the more theoretical side of things that we're failing on, or whether it's both. The training for that, I would plan on setting up a training program for existing officers. I don't know if that would be met with people who are not too enthusiastic about it, but it's the reality is that there are a lot of people lacking knowledge out there, and unfortunately they're the people that we rely on to police the streets right now. um so that would be my one of my first tasks. The other one being to set up the structure as how I envision it, in terms of ranking. I wouldn't I'm not opposed to people having input in a ranking structure, or even discussing obviously what I'm looking for in a ranking structure. So as like that ranking structure increases, like say if I was chief of police, I had an assistant, if they didn't agree with how they saw certain ranks, then I'd be open to like hearing them out.
Okay.
But that's like my first sort of tasks would be ranking structure and training of officers.
So would you plan to retrain all of the officers or only those you feel necessary? And how would that be decided?
I kind of want to see what level that people are at. I did think about we have this test that we put cadets through, where they're given a certain amount of information, they go away, read it, and then they fill out this test before they come to the academy, and they kind of have to get like a pass level, I guess it is. I kind of thought about that.
Giant, thank you for the prime sub,
I'm
man.
not opposed to like other sort of ideas and stuff, but I kind of just I need to test where people are at. I'm very well aware that there are some people who are going to exceed my expectation and everything, but I kind of just want to identify the areas where we fell short, where we did people wrong with their training, and pick up and go over and do right by them. I don't think it's their fault at the end of the day individually. I think that's a fault of the training system that we've had in place so far.
Yep.
Okay. All right. We've talked a lot about the police department and the inner workings of the police department, where you would be helpful there. Where would you be helpful outside of the police department? How do you plan to improve the trust in the community and the relationships in
Oh,
the
good
community?
question.
Okay. So I want to make sure that
I think
we're sort of on top of
she knows what
current
she wants to do.
current affairs, current issues, and things like that. So having a healthy working relationship with the mayor's office is going to be the first, the first outside of the police department priority, right? That way we can keep each other up to date with what's going on, things that we might need assistance with, things that we might need to see results with, and stuff like that. One of the biggest things that I really wanted to do for quite a long time is, and it's something that is like later on in my plan in terms of for other things, but for this, I think it should be fairly early on. It's like a community sort of task force where people who are like-minded and want to set up like events that they can hold with communities are going to be able to take lead in that department. So it may be that eventually there's enough interest with offices where we could get a representative for each sort of area sort of thing, where they'd be a contact for those people that reside in or work in those areas, holding like meet and greets and stuff like that. I kind of want to have someone who would work on like our social media presence, just to say sort of, it sounds like such a boomer thing to say, but sort of relevant to the city and the way that it changes, things like that.
Yeah, TikTok them. Nino loves that shit.
Yeah, I guess something
Like
like that. Yeah.
positive PR, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we have none of that. We have no one sort of front facing or giving out information about, I don't know, some recent successes or whatever of the police department. People only know us for us arresting people and sending them away for a certain amount of time. They don't know anything about achievements outside of that.
You notice the difference
So when I asked that question,
between
I was
how
kind of trying to
complete
gain
her thoughts
insight
are
on,
compared to everybody
how
else?
you would improve the relationships between
It's
the civilian and the
practical
criminal
solutions
population,
instead
which
of
is
just
currently
like hypotheticals, and that's
I
why
wanna be able to
she's
build on,
really the
obviously,
best.
there's a lack of trust and a lack of faith. I want the police department as a whole to, and I know that this is going to be a
Jimbo will not be chief.
standing
That's
sort of thing to
cooked.
try and get everybody in the same mindset.
As chief makes sense,
but to treat people as the individual people that they are, right? Everybody's different. I kind of want to do away from labels such as you have your civilians and you have your criminals, because everybody
you're not
going to
want to put Jimbo in an office,
right? And everybody should be seen as equal in that sense. You may have some civilians who are more criminally inclined, or inclined to take part in criminal activity, and some who work, law-abiding jobs and live law-abidingly. At the end of the day, though, they're all residents and inhabitants of the state, and they all deserve the same, right to safety, privacy, etc. And we're here to advocate for that. I kind of want to. I want to make sure that things that happen within the department are pretty open and honest. I'm a pretty open and honest person. If there are developments about misdoings within the police department, I'm not saying that everything is going to be aired out in the public, but there should be results, should be out in the public, right? Like we identified this as a problem, or someone brought us our attention to this, and this is what we did about it. This is what we're gonna do moving forward. And then it comes back to what you've said about like the PR thing. I kind of want to make sure that people do have an understanding and are informed of what we're doing.
Okay. I really like the doing away with the labels comment that you had made. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
I think that's necessary and needed. So I appreciate you bringing that in there. What are your steps that you want to take to improve? Because I know we talked about like what you would do as chief, but what steps do you want to take to improve the morale of the police department? What
Matt,
do you
I think you
feel
should
as
sub,
if
bitch.
the steps that you'll take necessary to help improve the morale? Or
Enough
what is
telling
needed?
me how things should
Okay.
be. You subscribe to my channel
So
and use your
empowerment's
Prime sub. That's
needed.
what I think you guys
Right,
should
I
do.
say this because I kind of not only do I recognize this of people that are sort of under my watch as lieutenant, but also I've fallen
You don't even have
sort of
rank.
victim to it as well in the past, where I feel like we've not been empowered to do as we should be doing according to, you know, SOPs that we have in place or the law.
Yo, Sai, thank you for the Prime sub, man.
There's
Welcome
a lot
to
of
the PD.
hesitation within the department.
Charlie,
Don't get me
thank
wrong,
you
there
for
are a lot of
promoting some
who
people.
just go in,
Exile,
like,
thank you for
headfirst,
promoting
run in
5
headfirst into
individuals.
situations, but there is also a hell of a lot of hesitancy.
Load
And,
Soldier, thank you for the 2
I wanna
months of
sort of build a
service.
culture where officers know that we do have their backs as long as what they're doing is in good faith and to the best of their ability, right? If someone fucks up, it's a fuck up, right? A mistake.
Westwood, thank you for the
most
3
mistakes
months.
can be
Anonymous, thank you
you
for
can come back
550.
from, right? But I also don't want to give off this impression that no matter what you do, you're
Rose,
always
thank
going to
you
be
for the
back,
33
because
months.
actually there are some people, and I acknowledge this, who will not be acting in good faith and will need to be stopped and identified and
thank you for the
hopefully
1 year.
retrained and taken out of that mindset.
Let's kind of piggyback off of what you just
Logic.
answered. What do you
Bruh,
plan
thank you for the
on
20.
doing with those
Jesus.
who- let me think about
NA train hype.
what was your rank again?
Lieutenant.
Have you ever had to personally suspend someone?
I've never really done that. A lot of what's happened with disciplinary actions. And
This is
stuff
going to
in the
get
past,
interesting.
I've ended up having to almost seek permission for, and then I've been told panel, and then we do a panel like a few days later.
I'm sorry. Could you elaborate real quick? Do you have, as your rank, do you have the ability to suspend people?
Yo,
Yeah, I should
Furnace.
do.
And do you, before suspending
Thank you for the
someone,
5
do you need
gifted
to get
subs.
permission to do said?
Logic is
suspension?
chief of police right now.
No, I mean I
the
should
20
be able to
gifties.
just suspend someone. Like I could just do that. But I know when I've brought up issues in the past regarding, hey, I kind of want to review this person for their employment, it's been, well, let's get a panel together. So it's not just a me thing, it's everybody pitches in.
So you have tried to suspend before, but you have been met with
I've tried to fire before, and I've been met with, no, we're gonna go for a panel.
Okay. But how long have you been at your current rank for?
This rank, since the sheriff election, I got promoted on the same day, which was the beginning of June, I think. Before that, I think I was sergeant for a couple of months.
Can I ask why you have? I feel like
shit.
you're very active, correct?
Yeah.
Can I ask you?
Promoted to not get poached. Yep.
Had the opportunity to suspend anybody? Yes, because you have not been in the place to, or is it because you kind of feel you're under some kind of fire? If you do.
Yeah. So, as much as I've been told, hey, shift 1 is yours, do what you want with it. Whenever something has come about, I end up being told this is how we're going to handle it. So I mean,
So you've kind of been
I should
stripped of
be
your
able. Yeah, so I should be able to say the person that I was looking to fire. They had already been fired once, and that person was a PPO. They're not even a full officer.
Yeah.
I couldn't make that decision by myself. That had to be made by every single member of command and high command, which to me is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, like, kind of putting aside the firing, because I feel like, firing someone's a little different from just suspending
Yeah, I
someone
mean,
for a
suspending
month. Yeah.
someone. I've only recently seen it where it has actually been done by the command, and that was with Shift 3 and Forte. I've never really had to come across
It was
suspends. I'm trying to
Forte.
think, and I don't think in my shift I've had to suspend someone.
How would you handle a situation in which
I'm
an
glad she
officer,
said the name. That needs to happen more
say you run a
often.
scene, the officer does something that's completely out of bounds for an officer, you have to send him back to the police station, where then you have to suspend him. How would you handle that situation?
What, in terms of how I would actually suspend him?
Yeah, let's start with, like, let's role play it out, right? So
Chad, 1 minute on that trade. Can NA
say
get
you're
to
on the
level
field,
3?
We'll say like a police officer spit on a criminal.
we
who's
have to
committing a crime,
normalize
right?
it.
Completely out of bounds. They shouldn't have done that. Why the
I
fuck did
hate
they
the
do that? You have to
notion of
send them
like,
back
oh,
to
if
the
we
police
say who it
department.
is,
How do you
they may
handle a
get
situation from
targeted.
there?
Like, bruh.
So, okay, so after I've sent them back to the police department,
Yo, JB, thank you for
I'd
the
make
5
sure that somebody
gifties.
else is,
Lisa, thank you for the 9
fulfilling the
months.
role that they would have had
Skrrrah.
on the scene. So that's covered.
David with the 5
I would probably go
gifties.
back to the police station. I would speak with them. I would inform them, obviously, that they were witnessed as assaulting a civilian on scene, and that they were being suspended
Thank you for the gifted sub.
pending investigation. Because to me, that's, I mean, if they spit on someone, that's assault, which is something that we can charge them with. It's a misdemeanor. Yeah, I would inform them that they are suspended for the next. Well, they are suspended indefinitely until there is a result of the investigation into it.
The
I
whole
wouldn't plan for the
non-transparency and
investigation to take more
professional
than
is such an
48
old boys
hours,
club
though.
mentality. Agreed.
Because, I mean, it's as simple as they were witnessed as spitting on a civilian.
Yeah, civs are going to know,
I think
and
the
who cares
investigation
if
is
an
more
off-duty
so just
cop
making
is
sure that
targeted?
paperwork's all lined up, that a report has been filled in.
The mentality that
and,
there should be overcare about it
yeah,
is
it would just
powerful.
basically be until it concluded
Because
that.
the thing is, like, if you're
So you said it would be
suspended, what are you
assault,
doing? Like, or what are you gonna
Assault,
like?
yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Would you
went into
then,
the invisible
if
force
warranted,
field house for
be open
3
to the idea
days.
of
Like
pressing
what?
charges
You know what I mean?
onto said officer?
For assault?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they
Look
assaulted
at how
they're in a
Carmine
position
handled
of
it. Look at how
trust,
Sab
and then they
handled it. Look at
assaulted
that.
someone.
How Brian handled it.
Now,
Look
if
at
that
how,
person
like,
done anything
you know,
back,
that's how it should
they'd
be.
be under a hell of a lot more fire than, than the officer, which is wrong in my opinion. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't let someone
It
get
can
away with assaulting
facilitate ARP
someone.
fee for him too, 100%. Gunner all those times,
How
yeah.
do you think that you would handle
Yeah, Cornwood,
internal
exactly.
conflicts within the department?
Internal conflicts, I honestly
I feel like
just get
babysitting,
people to
like,
the point where they have
fucking,
to communicate.
like, at an OOC level is
A lot
stupid.
of like
'cause that's what
conflict
it is.
stuff is
Yo, what up,
mainly
Tracy?
there'll be
I
some
miss
words
DPD.
exchanged between those
Tracy,
involved,
listen,
and then
all
they'll
right?
go away, and then they just spiral.
DPD
They
was too
spiral amongst
good.
themselves, and they'll keep going. Then maybe they'll gain some traction and some more supporters. Then it just gets bigger. It just needs sorting out there and then. Like, people need to just get together. I understand that there may be a
Dan,
period of time where
31
people have to
months.
walk away, calm down, collect their thoughts. I don't know, maybe even try and look at something from a different perspective. But communication
We're-
as quickly as you possibly can is best. Because people just are, for some reason, naturally doom spiralers. So that happens a lot. Things become far worse.
Would you say you'd get them in a room and force them to talk to each other?
I would like to call them both into a room. I don't think I can force.
Yep.
If
Yep.
you get into the point where you're forcing people to talk to each other, I don't think they're quite ready, and they should probably be given a little
Viv
bit
was
more
in
time to chill
VPD,
out.
but we did try to get her at the time. She had a very similar
But this
mentality
whole,
to
I don't know, complaints
DPD, but
thing
we weren't
or
able
whatever
to.
that people have without coming forward to talk about it, it needs to stop. Communication needs to get better. It really does.
No, Cornwood is still into RP. What the fuck? Yeah. He's just
What
busy
is your
with
relationship with
like
Nakota?
sports week or something.
With Nakoda, he's my son.
That's your son?
That's my son.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Why?
I think what she's saying is he can tell where he gets his good looks from.
Yes.
Oh, he's
Yes.
adopted. He's not actually biologically mine.
Surreal. Think of the 7
Most people
months.
get it confused though, because most people assume he's older than me, but I'm 38, so I'm a hell of a lot older than him.
Yes, that's what you guys definitely you're very like-minded. It's
Yeah.
it's very interesting. Do you
Oh my-
feel this
Tilly-
is very
Tilly's-
specific.
Tilly's.
Do you feel as if the police department needs faster cars?
I think that's a problem. However, it's not a top priority at all. I think we got bigger fish to fry than
Yep.
being able to catch up to
All right, here are the keys.
fast as hell vehicles.
Okay, you feel like you've what about how do you feel about class 2 firearms?
I really don't want them.
Good
I like you.
answer.
Continue.
I don't. I know that we've got them now. I know that
What?
there's going to be training for us to have them.
What?
I do kind of worry that that is going to just paint a target on our back, as it does
Yep.
whenever we get
Thank
some
you.
sort of new weaponry
Yes.
or equipment. But also, I really don't want it to become a standard again in San Andreas. I've seen it once. I really do not need to see that again. It becomes insanely ridiculous, and everybody seems to end up with
Anyone who
illegal
doubts
Class 2
Vivian being
firearms
good
or
for
stolen
crims doesn't
legal
get it.
Class 2 firearms. I hope to God they never
This
become
is the
like an
mentality the
ammunition
server
thing.
needs.
Yeah. Me and you both. So I appreciate that answer actually.
Okay.
How do you feel this is like an
Too many
interesting
people
question.
look at surface level shit. They don't see how valuable
in regards
this mentality
to, like,
is in the
lawsuits
entirety of the
in
server.
police department.
Right.
Right. Say an officer fucks up, they go to court. They're a fucking idiot, right? They're gonna lose the court case because they're dumb and they did something they shouldn't have been doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll say it's like $1 million lawsuit, right? Who do you feel should have to pay for the lawsuit? Do you feel as if the officer who committed the crime committed the act have to pay for the lawsuit, or
It's not even the yes
police
or no,
department as a
it's the
whole?
reasons behind it. It's a thought process.
So I feel like it's circumstantial, right? I would say, it should be like a 50-50 thing between the officer and the department, because the department does have some responsibility, right? If they're harboring an officer who is that sort of small-minded that they made such a massive mistake that they're getting sued $1 million for, then why hasn't the department picked up on that in the first place and tried to correct it with that person, or even said, hey, this person isn't suitable for the job? So there's that side of it. They should be responsible for it, insurance wise. Like
these three haven't
them with a
had a chance
specific
to
level
speak
of
with her.
training so
This is
that
their
they
first
don't
time.
get to the point where they fuck up and make those mistakes. But then at the same time, everybody is individual and people choose to do things. All right. It's if they chose to operate in a way that they are now facing a lawsuit for $1 million, then they absolutely should be paying towards that. It shouldn't fall back completely onto the department. But it does also, the department does have to sort of pay up because the department did fail.
Okay. All right. As in like they made the bed, they have to lay in it kind of situation. You feel like as they should take accountability for the mistakes.
I think a lot of people need to start taking accountability and responsibility rather than blaming it on everything but themselves. And that would be also the department. The department needs to acknowledge that there have been some major errors or flaws in the way in which they've operated for quite a while, and that things need to be worked on and improved. Because otherwise, this is just going to keep getting worse.
Say we decide to make you chief of police right now. Who's your
Right.
assistant chief of police?
She's gonna say McNulty.
So, I can't name one person. I'm
Oh.
struggling on that one.
So
I acknowledge
that's
that
a good answer.
throughout the current high command that we have, Ruby's been very supportive. Whenever I've needed something doing or looking into or information on, Ruby's been the person that I've been able to get that from. Do I think that she should definitely be there? I don't know. I think maybe there is that chance for someone fresh to step into a position like that. McNulty would be very good. However, my concern for McNulty is that
he wants to be on the street.
He's always put his priorities of on the field and out on patrol. And I'm concerned that if we get somebody like that,
Agreed.
I've seen it, right? You've got Barrick, who is very field patrol oriented. He's sat there as chief, and it does kind of feel like Ruby does all the administrative stuff when actually it should be
the other
sort
way
of
around.
both of them doing administrative.
True.
I'm not saying that you can never ever go on patrol, but the sort of
it's not even good
side
takes.
Of being
she
high
has
command
the
should take
best takes in the
precedent over
department right
patrol.
now.
That's why you put people into your lieutenant rank or sergeant
And the rest can be
ranks to able
figured
to
out.
Control what's going out on the field. So I worry that putting McNulty in that position may take him away from where he's best served. But I do think he's someone who could also do well in that role, just probably not so much with the administrative stuff.
See who else she brings up will be interesting.
Do you think you can find a balance in that sense, though?
I'm curious who else she has in mind.
It'd be down to those individual people about balancing their work and stuff. Like if I would feel bad if I asked McNulty to step up to that position, he was like, yeah, I'll give it a go, and then I'm like, I need you to focus less on patrol. Like, I don't want to put someone
agreed
into a position where they may not be the happiest, right?
It's understandable.
But then again, that's not for me to decide. I would want to do interviews with people. A long time ago, if you'd asked me a few months ago, I would have suggested Cassidy.
That would have been a good
answer. The thing is both me and Cassidy are from the same shift.
Yeah, true.
And I'm a firm believer in that high command should be spread out amongst shifts so that every shift has a seat at the table when it comes to putting policies and stuff like that into place.
So kind of like based off the same question that I asked you, who would be a assistant chief, right? Say that instead of somebody who would, work with you well and you felt like would kind of be like a good partner for you, say we wanted someone who would be the opposite of how you are in the police department. We wanted somebody who you have the way you think, but we want somebody who is complete opposite of the way you think and can have like a better relationship with civilian population, the criminals. Who would you say that is?
I'm gonna reword that. Folks that may jive with your Conan Clocksons and your what she's trying to say is we've had a lot of talks in here, and one thing that we were contemplating was now ultimately we're not dictating here, was I'd like to think that you have you're very administrative heavy. You have a very good head on your shoulders, and quite frankly, you have the most complete answers to all these things. But the reality of the matter is that there is a cultural beacon that is sometimes needed that attracts folks of a different set. Now, I don't imagine a LSPD with a bunch of Conan Clocksons are going to do anything other than burn the entire department down and the county with it. But you're going to have these moments where you have folks that do Conan-like things. And Tilly had some suggestions, and we want to see what your thoughts are on it. And don't feel like you can't push back to this thought process. We want to hear your thoughts on this. All right.
Okay.
Tilly, go ahead.
Should I give her names or should I have
Yeah,
her answer
yeah.
first?
Yeah, give some names, and then maybe they'll give a better idea of what we're thinking in our mind and where her head's at with it.
How would you feel about, you know what? Let's start with the non-obvious, right? I'm gonna throw like a wild card in there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. We'll say we'll do what he said. Conan Clarkson.
Okay, let's not put. No,
I'm just throwing.
no, let's
everyone
let's
in
not
there.
Wait,
waste
as
our time.
assistant?
All right. How would you feel about Jimbo?
Hmm. I think Jimbo's got some really good qualities. I don't think I don't actually have anything terrible to say about him. I think he could definitely reach that spot at some point. I'm not entirely sure whether that point is now, but he's definitely got some very good qualities. And I really want someone who is going to challenge me, right?
Yes.
I'm very opposed. I'm very on board with that because I need someone who's going to oppose. So they're not going to bow down and just say yes to me. I need someone who's going to be passionate, enough to actually say, well, no, I don't think that's right, and someone who would be willing to debate with me otherwise, sort of thing. Jimbo, I think would be good in that sort of position. Maybe not right now, but he's definitely. He's someone that I understand why he transferred from LSPD to BCSO. And I've tried to give BCSO sort of like a heads up / warning because I saw them doing or making the same mistakes with Jimbo as what was made within LSPD. I think they were basically looking for someone to overtake him in shift 1. And I don't want that to happen to Jimbo because I think he could go far. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He does some, I call it Jimbo shit. He does some Jimbo shit.
Yeah.
But he's also like, he's a good guy to have around.
Would it shock you to say that he was brought in here on suggestion and he had the second best series of answers than any other candidate, you being the first?
No, that wouldn't shock me.
It shocked the shit out of me, to be honest. I didn't know he had that in him.
Yeah, so I've seen that. I've seen that side of Jimbo.
Yeah.
I think he's very good at what he does. He's very good at problem solving, and he doesn't take like the conventional route as someone like myself might. I know that he's asked me for assistance with things recently, with him being made into a member of command recently. He's very, very good to work with. My only gripe with Jimbo is how often he is able to be around. He switched from shift 2 to shift 1, and then sometimes we don't really see him in shift 1. We can see him in shift 2, and vice versa. That would be my only thing with him.
So you had mentioned, you said you didn't think that he was ready yet for this position. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I feel like he's still trying to find his feet with command a little bit more. I think he's good at identifying things and thinking I should do this with it, but he will go to someone for advice. Like he wants to bounce his ideas off someone first before he does anything, which I think is okay. And I don't see it being a forever problem. I feel like he's trying to find his feet and his own voice, because I do think there's a lot of people that don't see that side of Jimbo, but he very much does have that side. He's actually quite good at what he does.
I'm a little by the answer, I'm just a little taken back. So do you feel as if how do you feel as if him bouncing ideas off of somebody is a negative?
No, so I mean, okay, so I mean more so in the fact that like, I don't mean it in a negative. I mean more so I think it's a confidence thing with him at the moment.
Okay.
That's all I'm trying to. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to convey.
No, that's
I
okay.
do
I
like
just want to get a
people
better understanding.
yeah, so I do like people who don't just jump straight into something and handles it a specific way because of that. Like if someone wants to discuss
we're not bringing
ideas,
Jimbo
like, I'm all
down
for
here.
that.
These
But
are
I do
good
think
answers.
that
We didn't know.
confidence is command. He's just trying to find his footing with right now.
Okay.
Along that line, you mentioned Ruby. You mentioned transparently. I don't think Barrick's gonna stick around if he's not chief. He's either gonna retire or go to BCSO. And
Okay.
and I could be wrong, but after my conversation with him, I kind of doubt that. You mentioned Ruby, McNulty. Who else sort of comes to mind? Like, and we're not going to hold you to any of these names. We're just kind of trying to get a sense of things. And feel free to name folks that are in the BCSO or name folks that used to be a part of the department.
Okay. So I think I did mention Cassidy. He's currently under sheriff in BCSO. I don't really foresee him leaving BCSO, but I used to work with Cassidy as a sergeant in Shift 1, and he's someone that I feel would balance out pretty well. But I don't know if he would have that passion to be able to argue with me on something. Sky from Shift 3. Now I know it's not desirable. Ready to have your top 2 be Shift 1 and 3, but
that would be disastrous. And I say that in that Los Santos, the city, is on fire at the shift, and without a chief or an ass chief, I'm gonna get murdered.
Would a captain not do?
No, I don't think so. I think we're gonna have July 3rd.
You on July 3rd.
I'm trying to,
Because of high command?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I don't really have that many names to pull.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, I want
And I
people who
totally
would
get
shock
that.
me.
I totally get that. Things are not in the best of places, right? Like, especially with everything that's happened.
Like I would recommend someone like Nakoda, but again, same shift as me, but also I sometimes struggle to get, I feel like Nakoda is disagreeing with me on something, but he won't technically communicate that. Sometimes that can be difficult to get out of him. Even if I sit there and say, okay, I know that you're not as on board with this, but you're not expressing that to me. I'll give someone an opening to say it, and he may not actually tell me what he's really thinking.
You think
What
it's
about
due to like a confidence, or is it just because he's kind of like a?
I think he likes to find the best way to say something, and sometimes you just got to be blunt.
Okay.
Well, I'm a very blunt person. I know not everyone operates in that way, but I'm a pretty blunt person.
I think that's a good thing. I think I think like not being able to put shit on the table is non-constructive, right? Because all that means is you're passing the buck for a later date to have that, SCA reopen. Oh shit. What about Turner?
Turner. I didn't have much experience with Turner from a while back because he was like shift 3 and I was mainly in the mid to late shift 1, I'd say. I heard a lot of good things about Turner. I enjoyed having Turner and Ruth around a lot. But from what I could see from the sidelines, there seemed to be a lot of Slacks and Turner versus Ruth. And I don't know how much Turner had to play in that or how much Slacks had to play in that. But I do know that he was, I mean, if people think that I'm stern or strict, he was way up there.
Yeah, we
like way up there.
We met with Ruth, Turner, and Aldo yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
In a good conversation with the three of them. Um,
Ooh, okay.
Nice.
they're
How did is that your first time meeting them, or
no,
had you
no,
met them
I've
before? Okay.
yeah, no, I when I used to run Los Santos Customs, I had a lot of interactions with them.
Mm.
Which is why I'm very familiar with Ruth getting bullied out of her position by small dick Mayo. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I can very much understand why things went the way that they did, given the fact that Barrick sat right there on the chair and said for the past 6 weeks he's been sucking my dick to keep the job. Which is why I
Wait,
probably
what?
not want him anywhere near the LSPD. Not that he will keep it. He's been told as much. Yeah, I was surprised when he admitted to him himself. So
Yeah, I'm not. I'm.
yeah,
I'm sorry, Nino, but I'm not. I'm not about that life.
yeah, no, that's
I
a
would
good
hope
thing.
not.
Yeah. Um. So
I think I was probably one of the only people, as well as Ruth, actually, who probably spoke out about the last mayor to the mayor's face.
The way he said that.
Obviously, didn't work out
Yeah.
that great, but
We very much
no.
in this administration want you to push back, right? If you get that position, right?
Okay.
And you know, there's the way I see things is adults argue, they can raise their voice, right? You can be passionate about things, but ultimately, you know, once everything's out on the table, it's a matter of figuring out what the solution is, coming to a decision, and running with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, things always got to be moving forward and can't, you know, have an endless argument on trying to find the best decision. You need one, just, you know, next bit.
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree.
okay. So, all right.
So for going back to it, Turner for assistant chief, is that what I was being asked to consider?
Correct. Yes. Transparently, we want to have a little bit of visibility. And
Okay.
the reason is, and I want to explain this, is that we want to make sure that you have like as much autonomy as you can. And the reason we're sort of asking for a bit of a pre-baked response is even for ourselves, this is huge, right? Unlike
Right.
Blaine County, that's got like a new department opening up, right? This, you know, they've got their new department, you know, they got the hand pick, whatever. The reality is LSPD is going to have 90% of the crimes, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, we're going to have 90% of the workforce. And all of this ties to our revenue. All of it ties to ensuring that crimes that are solved here, that revenue comes back to this county, because otherwise that affects your paycheck. It affects the paycheck of the people that will be residents of Los Santos. There's a lot of, I don't know how much UPD is going to be left, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And
right.
And so, you know, it's kind of why, you know, the whole we're very, you know, we would like to see high command in shift 1 and 2, because the reality is it is prime time. At this time it's fucking insane, and it's usually when the craziest of crazy shit happens. So without a LSPD high command in that position, things will not be, we don't believe things would get resolved in a quick enough fashion when it needs to, right? Like, for example, you know, we have another July 3rd, God forbid. There's going to be like certain decisions that may need to be made like in the moment, right? And without that facility in place, you know.
Agree.
So, okay, we can kind of move past this. Like, we don't need an immediate answer, but I'm glad you're thinking about it. Like, who that ass chief could be.
Yeah, so I've had names that have come to mind, like the ones that I've mentioned, but I kind of want people to sort of like I kind of want to, instead of just naming someone and putting them there, I want them to like interview, because I want to see what sort of lines they're along. Like, obviously, I don't want someone who's the exact same copy as me. I want someone who is gonna not be shy to question things that I bring up or suggest or anything like that. But I also want someone who has got the same sort of end goal with LSPD, sort of
Mm,
improving
mm.
the relationship between LSPD and literally everybody else within the state of San Andreas, and
Yeah.
you know, the same sort of goals in mind to have with officers at a basic level, how we're going to tackle these issues, that sort of thing. Just to get to the point where, you know, we're a well trusted department,
Mm.
instead of having officers who are literally jumping every time they hear a state marshal asking to speak with them.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we've got a lot of officers who feel like they're being plagued by a nightmare at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got my own. Yeah. I can
Mhm.
totally get that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. We get it. Yeah, we understand.
Tilly, if you want to continue with the question.
Do any of you guys have before we like start asking the usual thing that we ask towards the end, do any of you guys have questions about uh the position as a whole?
Do you guys, you mean me?
No, I'm talking to them.
Oh, okay.
I think a majority of my questions were answered, so I'm good. Abby?
What wait. I don't know what the
Okay, good,
usual
good.
things.
Okay, all right. So I know that you've already answered some of these, right? We'll do it. We'll ask again though, because why not? We're gonna throw you a couple of names, uh, and you would just answer if you would think that they would make a good chief of police, and why or why not. All right.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. We'll start with you kind of already answered this. We'll double back on it. We'll start with Ruby.
Okay. All right, Ruby, I think she could be good. She's very sort of behind the scenes sort of focused in terms of the organization of things, getting things put into place, discussions, meetings, that sort of thing. I think she's very good at, I believe she was the one who set up the sort of training process in shift 2 and
Mm-hmm.
held that for quite a while. She's still very heavily involved in training and hiring, which I think is good because not everybody is about that life. It can be tough. I would say Ruby's
McNulty
downfalls are
might
more to
be
do with
the best
out
option.
on the field. I don't think
I
it's a
think
be all and end all to have the best scene leadership skills or field
even if that
skills to
means
be in a position of high command. But it is something that you should be able to
even though
do,
I share the same
to be able to
concern,
make
that might
your
be pulling
officers
him
feel
off
as
the
though,
ground. But
you
he's
know, they've
shift
got the
2. Like, who
empowerment to
else
be
is
able to
gonna be
do
shift
the things
2?
that they need to do their job properly and
Who
appropriately.
else really fits?
I think
It's the best. It's the best to
I think
have
the
him
only
there.
downside I would see
But
to
it
Ruby is
seems
sort of like
like
the vibe / morale part of it with her out on the
Decker, you
field
guys are
in
correct.
specific situations. Like, I guess we keep falling back to things like something as major as July the 3rd or the council meeting shooting that happened as well. Stuff like that. People look to a leader in those situations, you know?
Are you saying that
No, hell no, not
she's not
Decker.
a leader?
I'm saying in terms of giving people the strength that they need in those dire times.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to be the one that's there sort of orchestrating each move.
Yeah, I think Jimbo would be too hard of a
which
sell, to be
leaders do
honest.
tend to do in a field sort of situation.
Okay.
She's definitely someone who cares about the force though, and cares about the individual officers within the force. So
Decker loses his shit
that's the
too
other side to
often. It's
that.
just the reality.
Okay. Am I good to mix it up, Nino? Because you yelled at me last time I did.
As long as we're not talking about activities in the mayoral office. As long as we keep it professional.
Oh,
Okay. All right. We'd like to switch up the names, right? So some of the names I say are just kind of like wild cards. All right. Officer Slacks.
Slacks?
Mhm.
No, I don't see him being a chief of police.
Why?
I think his intentions are good. I just don't think he executes a lot of what he wants to do or sets out to do. It's very much known as someone who will look into things, and then that's kind of where it ends. You never really see the results.
Right. McNulty. I know you already kind of. We'll tap dance through him if you want to
That's
just
okay.
throw it down.
McNulty, I think he's too field focused.
Mm.
I think he's fabulous out in the field, and I think he gives people that empowerment behind it. But I do think he's very as much as he comes across as stern and strict, I think he's actually the opposite and doesn't hold people accountable as he should.
Wow, it's the first time I heard that.
Like, he's kind of more willing to just sort of shrug it off and laugh at it when actually it might be something really bad that we need to be seen publicly to be to address, right?
Do you think on McNulty, I've seen different sides of him. He can be very passionate when talking, and sometimes I think that may hide the from I've spoken to him a couple times, and his passion and conviction to a certain point can sometimes, I think, hide the degree of opinion that he actually has, if that kind of makes sense. Like,
Right.
He's sometimes to me come across a bit like thin blue line, like protect my offices at all costs, even if it's at the even if as negative results for the civilians kind of thing. Have you? Is there truth to that? What is his? Is he thin blue line or is it a misread?
So he's not, because he'll call out officers who are doing dumb things and he'll dap them or whatever. But I think that's kind of where it stops.
Okay.
I don't think he's the sort of person to push for. Actually, no. I think he would suspend. I don't think he's someone who would review someone's job as an entirety. I think he would just kind of let it slide and just deal with it with just a suspension and a DAP or whatever, even
Okay.
if it was something pretty terrible. It's a really hard one to get with McNulty, because he does exercise his right of being frustrated at people, and he can come across as almost angry, and he'll yell at people. But then I feel like, you know how okay, so say you've got your parents, you've always got that like one uncle or aunt who'll sort of just like let you get away with it. He's kind of like that.
Do you think he would do it to the degree of covering up a potential crime?
No, I don't believe he'd do that.
Okay. If a civilian were to bring a complaint to him, would he look into it before making judgment?
I think he'd take it seriously.
Okay.
But I think if it came to the fact that it's just challenging, it's like, I don't know. It's coming from someone who was arrested and processed and sent away. I think he's more inclined to be like, oh, they're just Karening for the sake of Karening, you know?
Yeah. That is, I don't want to dial too back, but I think if he was chosen as AS Chief, and I transparently think he may be the best option if there is no Jimbo-esque equivalent, because I do
Right.
agree about a lot of his positive qualities. That would be the only bit where I think we've been concerned with is it too much? Because look, if people are going to bitch and complain in the cells, that's just the reality of things, right? Very similar to how I get phone calls about stupid shit. But
Yeah.
at the same time, when they are in the cells, they are the custody of law enforcement. And while they may be like bitching and complaining, there may be some truth to why it's occurring.
Oh yeah.
So that would be my only like, hey, got to make sure there's no, you know what I'm saying? Like all the
Yeah.
thing isn't
I think
disregarded.
so. I think the only the biggest concern that I would have with McNulty is that that I have seen that he'll exhibit, like, I know he'll talk about people in a specific way.
Mm.
There's already jokes flying about an officer that was recently fired as of yesterday.
Mm.
And he was like, referring to them as, oh, well, they're just going to become another criminal sort of thing, just sort of resigning
Yeah.
them to that life.
That's always a dangerous mentality, right? And I get why it's in the
Yeah.
police force. And I think one of the reasons why it's so important for and I know we're kind of going off base a little bit, but I do think this touches on a very important subject. My observation as a lawyer throughout the campaign is outside of yourself being one of the few, it's almost like most of my conversations, not just you, but there's been like, Belle, for example, she's been fantastic. There's been a lot of good ones, but the majority, it unfortunately has been, who are you going to put as chief if you become mayor, if I vote for you? What are you going to get us if you become mayor?
Oh.
And while that has value to it, part of that concern should be, what are you going to do for the city, right? The bigger picture, right? And in the same light, I sometimes get a sense that PD has been in its own bubble, unfortunately, and I understand why, right? A lot of it, I think, has to do with the past administration and the them versus us mentality that's been generated. And while the outside world, specifically criminals, will make it about the PD and not the officer that they have issue with, like, be it someone does one thing to a criminal organization, they take it out on the entire police department. That's unfair. But we, as a government, I think, want to try to remove some of those walls. And
Yeah.
I think that can make a much healthier environment where now, if someone is thinking about pulling the trigger, it's not a cop, but it's, it's Belle, it's Flop, it's Vivian, that's a good place to get. So as far as we are very, as we're still working on the policy that we'd like to, push towards the LSPD. It'll probably be a couple days, but one of the things that we're very that we think is very important is, if an officer is suspended, there has been a fear that if it gets found out who is suspended and what they did, they're going to get hunted down. That's kind of an odd fear to have, because if they're suspended,
Then you've handled it, right?
well, you've handled it, absolutely. And what are they going to, it's not like you're keeping them in a cage for 3 days. Where else are they? Or they're not, they're sitting in their apartment for 3 days. We want them to be out and about, right? Let them be out and about. We want to remove the whole, if they're suspended, they can't get on some train or whatever. No, let them be out and about. Like, yeah, they may get picked up, but that's also 3 days they get to get used to the community and tell their story and get to know people. And, it's a very, I don't know, someone help me here. It's very strange to have a environment where if you're suspended for 3 days, you're just in a black hole.
It seems like the end of the world when it really isn't. You should actually make it like a civilian outreach in the meantime.
Yes. Yep.
Like make them
Yeah,
go
it's a
and do
shitty
civ
feeling.
jobs. Like go and make them do like civilian jobs to connect with the people and things like that. I think that should maybe be a precedent.
I agree.
I feel like and this like stems from a long time ago as well. I feel like too many people are afraid to even visit a suspension as a disciplinary action.
Yeah. No.
People see a suspension akin to a firing, like they're the same
Yeah,
thing.
no.
And it's I I understand that it's not something that everybody will want to go through. It's not a nice feeling to be suspended from something. But at the end of the day, we're afforded a hell of a lot more power than your average person. And if someone is going to misuse it or even do something accidentally with ignorance or whatever, then it kind of needs to be a punishment that's fitting to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I mean, we'll go
I
as
don't
far
even,
as saying, like, if you suspended 2 people a week, like, I'm using extreme, um, so what? You know what I mean? And we'll even say that
yeah,
in terms of like the policy, like I am a strong believer that that by punishing quick, if you can do it that day, even if you miss a little bit, it's whatever, is not that much different than what civilians and felons have to come across. And in the same sense, that cop shouldn't have to worry, okay, I got suspended twice in a month, I'm going to get fired next. Who cares? Like, unless they're actually super negatively affecting the department's ability to function, or like they're truly like Carmine-esque, right? Or like they've committed terrorism, just keep suspending them, right? And normalize it. So it becomes oh, that guy's suspended. Nice. You know what I mean? Like, just
yeah,
as anyone else might be like, okay, so-and-so got thrown in jail for like, 300 months. Like,
yeah,
that
I
normalization makes
agree.
that problem disappear entirely.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep. No, I agree with that.
Tilly, you want to any other?
Continue.
I'm good. You know.
Is there any other that you have?
No. I've had a good conversation with Viv already.
Good. Well, I feel bad. Hopping on to. Is there anybody that I missed that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head.
Mm,
All right. Look.
Is there anybody you think I missed, Eve? With
I think you did everybody.
Okay. Vivian, if you could,
Yeah.
start sort of planning how you want to see your, you know, um,
your
if made
5-year
cheap
plan?
in a week, or whatever, who's gonna be there, try to get
Okay.
some concrete stuff. If you names come up, or you're like, here's the ass chief, like that may be in a different department or somewhere, like hasn't been around for a minute, let us know.
Okay.
I don't really want to
Alright.
waste any more time taking interviews. There's no one else worth taking. Just don't let anyone know, at least just yet, so Barrick doesn't commit terrorism.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I don't think he's going to. He's just off his fucking rocker, to be honest.
He might.
Yeah. So,
Wait, I'm confused.
wait, about what?
Why would he commit terrorism? Because what?
I don't know. It was a joke. Like, I don't think he's going to commit terrorism. He's his mind's all over the place.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
We'd
yeah.
appreciate it if you kept it on the
I had
down
an
low for
attack
now,
on my
though.
life.
Wait,
Earlier
kept what
today.
on the down low? I think I've missed something.
Wait, who said that?
Uh,
Oh,
said
Tilly
that?
just said if you keep it on the down low.
oh yeah. Look, we've been doing a lot of interviews. You're the only person that I think should be chief. And congratulations, Vivian.
Oh.
But we don't know. We got to figure out what buttons we got to press. Just quite frankly, as we were sitting here, we're talking through this. I've kind of realized that every other conversation we have is just looking for an alternative that may be able to challenge you, and there really isn't. So if you're willing to accept the position, we'd like to give it to you. We just don't know what we got to do to make that happen. So between now and like next week, try to have something in place. We're going to try to get a policy in place. We will give you the opportunity to look at the policy and see if that's acceptable, to you. And it does, the offer does stipulate that we need to know who the ass chief is, not because of any other reason, then we need to ensure that we have a strong plan in place. Like, do keep it to yourself for now, because it's going to be a couple days. We don't want, something bad to happen because someone's jealous or whatever it is.
Okay. No, of
Yeah.
course.
And we'll announce
I-
all this, and we'll make it a big thing. But if you're willing to agree to that, that is
I'm willing to agree to that. Yeah.
all right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you
Oh,
for
well, congratulations, Viv.
yeah.
Thanks. I would like to kind of. Do you mind if I kind of find a roundabout way to talk to people to see what sort of page they're on? Obviously,
Yes.
not giving anything away.
Yeah.
Trying to do it in the most sneakiest
Yeah.
way possible.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's fine then. I'll do that.
Yeah.
You don't even have to do
Okay.
it in a sneaky way. You're basically interviewing for the position, as are a lot of other people, and just going around and questioning that sort of stuff is some of the things that those other officers getting interviewed should be doing anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
And worst
Yeah,
case,
maybe,
we've asked you to
guys.
do homework and on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
It's a part of your
I'm fine with
proposal,
that.
quote unquote.
Mhm.
All right, easy.
Make sure
Okay.
you keep your mind open about it, though. You know what I mean? Like, interview
yeah.
those people that maybe you didn't think would
Oh,
fit
yeah,
that.
that's my plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Yep. Thank you, Vivian.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. I'm good to go, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Yep, you're good to go.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Keep
Congratulations.
it police.
Thanks, guys.
See you on the other side.
I'll see you soon. Okay.
Yep.
Take care.
All right. You take care. Yeah, I couldn't help but sit here and be like, we're just
Yeah.
kind of jerking off on this and
Yeah.
jerking each other off, like
That's what
waiting
she
for
said.
someone that can even like compete. But and we should, I think, by next week get a policy in place for her, make sure the things that she needs is there. I do think stipulating on her getting an appropriate ass chief and maybe even captain or whatever is important. But let's start moving forward.
All right. Hell yeah.
All right.
It's exciting.
Yep. I did see where she was coming from with the Jimbo thing. I'm glad she's considering it.
Mhm.
Even I'm not sold on McNulty being ass chief, but I have gotten closer to saying, with everything everyone said, even though he's very patrol oriented, maybe he would be the ass chief.
It might be a good fit.
Yeah, agreed. I've of the folks I've spoken to too, he seems at least. My only gripe with him is dismissiveness in the face of criminals feeling wronged, and that's something that's got to just be worked on. But not everyone's going to be perfect, right?
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
So, anyways,
I
Check, guys.
personally don't think that he would fit this. I don't know.
no. So speak your mind.
I personally don't. I guess I've worked with him before, so I can kind of see it. I don't see him being that foil. I just don't. I've spoken with him many times. I've seen how he's like, acted around the criminals in the cells and whatnot, and I just don't.
He can be very staunch when he's made up his mind prior to having all the evidence in front of him. Would that be accurate?
Yes, I suppose. I don't know. I don't think that he'll give that. I just don't feel like he'll be kind
Yeah.
of what.
Yeah. Let's let her cook. Let's see what she comes back with. And
Okay.
The reality is she's not wrong. There's slim pickings right now.
True.
Yeah. That's very true.
You
Do you have
should have
anything
told her
else
that-
lined up?
I'm sorry. Oh
Do you
yeah,
have
good
anything else
good
lined
question.
up? Yeah, I have to go to Andy's fair real quick.
Oh shit! I want to go too. Let me. Can I come to
was I gonna
your
say?
fair?
I forgot. Oh, you should probably tell her that if she wants to, like, look at the BCSO, she can too. I mean, that's not like an off limits thing.